and then comma to my last piece of the function, which is criteria 2. So how do I know what year I care about in this instance? If I go back to the dashboard tab, I care about the year in column B, and in this case it's the value in B5 because I'm dealing with the total salary for 2010. Now an important point of distinction here, if I were to lock B5 in completely with the F4 shortcut, close the parenthesis, and enter the formula, I'm getting the correct salary for 2010 for Arizona. If I drag this down, you'll see that I get the exact same salary every single time. The reason that's the case is because if you watch the formula itself, as I click down, nothing's changing because every reference is completely fixed. That's almost correct, except the one thing that I do want to shift is the reference to the year name. It's kind of tough to see there, but if I scroll down and hit F2 to kind of dive in, you can see that in every case I'm referring to B5 and only B5. So if I go back into my original formula in C5, I want the B to be fixed, but I want the 5 to shift to row 6, 7, 8, and 9 as I move this formula down. So I'm just going to remove the fixed reference before the 5 and press enter again. Now if I apply this down, it will update properly. So that's my total salary column. For the number of players, in this case we don't want to sum any values, we just want to take a count of the number of players under those same two criteria, team and year. So I'm just going to do equals countifs, criteria range 1, which is team. So where do my teams live? Salary data, column B, fix it. And what's my criteria? Whatever team I've selected in cell C2. Criteria range 2 is year. Where do my years live? Salary data, column A. And then criteria 2 is whatever year that I care about, which is in B5. And I'm going to hit F4 3 times to cycle through until I've fixed the B but not the 5. Close the parenthesis, hit enter, and there you go. So this is telling me that Arizona has 26 players in the data sample for 2010, 27 for 2011 and 12, and so on and so forth. So for average salary, you could use an average ifs here. What I'm going to do, since I have the total salary and I have the number of players, I'm just going to take the simple route and just use simple division here. So I'm going to take C5 divided by the number of players. So team salary divided by number of players equals average salary per player. And I'm just going to apply that down. And if I want to get rid of these decimals, I can go into the Home tab and just hit this decrease decimal button twice. And now I've rounded to the nearest dollar. So there you go. This chart is already tied to the data in those ranges, so it will update automatically as you cycle through. Now you can see how each team has kind of adjusted their salaries and how the average salaries have changed over time. So there you go. Pretty simple example of how to build a dynamic dashboard and how to use these formulas in more of an analytical way. Alright, so that wraps up the statistical functions section. Next up we have lookup reference functions, which is one of my favorite sections. So get excited.